chance, one move, one dance, one shot. Brace yourself for the bass. One shot.
Saints Nation, welcome back to week 6 of the NECC Overwatch tournament. I'm your host, Seymour Cass, alongside Lol Zeddy, and we are going to be bringing this action for you between St. Clair Saints and the Florida Atlantic University. Zeddy, why don't we waste no time at all and hop in with talking about what we have before us?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a great matchup between two awesome teams that are performing really well in the NECC so far. St. Clair currently placing third in their bracket, shortly falling behind Fanshawe and Becker, two teams that have nearly perfect records, as opposed to Florida Atlantic, who we're going to be playing tonight, actually going 2-3 so far in the league. So St. Clair placing slightly higher than our opponents, coming into this maybe a little bit favored. But it's obviously, we always talk about it here on Cast. It all comes down to execution, how the teams actually play out, how the matches look, what maps are chosen. We've seen maps affect a lot of things. So, I'm really looking forward to this game, coming in with such an advantage, hoping to see how things pop off.
100%. I can't wait to see the executions coming out from both of these teams. And you're talking about the recent matches that St. Clair's seen. Why don't we check out what we had in the past couple weeks? I know St. Clair, they started off very hot, but recently in their past two games, you see this Southern New Hampshire game where St. Clair won 3-0. That was a very, very strong outcome for that one. Then they followed it up with Becker College. It was a heartfelt battle, but Becker College, very strong team. As you know, they're at the top of the division. And they beat us out 3-0 as on the opposite side. And in the recent matchup between Central Methodist University, it did go to the map 3, but not so clear cut in a 3-0 standpoint. We came out with a 2-1 victory, and our current season record, as you said, Zeddy, 3-1 in the league. So definitely looking to come out on top and push even farther up and maintain that number 3 spot. Florida Atlantic, not really a team that we want to count out just yet. Yeah, they're one of those teams with a negative standpoint when it does come to the map win-loss ratio, but you put it exactly on hand. I mean, Overwatch, it's a game of momentum. It's a game of teamwork, and it's really comes down to the execution at hand. So I do want to see what the maps are coming out for St. Clair Saints, looking to keep it going. And Ilios, in fact, is going to be our map number 1. We just got the word from above. How do you feel about that one, Zeddy?
I love seeing the Saints play on Ilios. We have a lot of success on this map, especially on Lighthouse. It seems to be a map that Saints really seem to enjoy. There's always some really hard-fought matches out on Lighthouse, some really unique strategies that teams can employ when they go to attack those points, especially through that tank line. And St. Clair, one of the things we're really known for is our strong tank line and how they're good at setting up those target focuses for those team fights, finding and isolating those key targets and even taking on a more aggressive role. And Lighthouse is a perfect map to do that.
Exactly. I mean, Ilios it's perfect for looking at that. I mean, you're talking about the initial executions on the map, and isolation is a perfect word for it because Ilios really tends to find those key, you set up a dive point, you set up an attack point, and that's where it's gonna be fine. I mean, you look to kind of minimize the advantage that your enemy team has on a map like Ilios as much as you can, because there's a lot of times where you will find yourself falling off the map due to the enemy team, due to yourself. So you really want to make sure that you can minimize what the enemy team can do and take the fights in your advantage, which I'm really going to be looking forward to and what the Saints can run, and definitely a strong tank line known for mostly brawl and double bubble. Curious at what they're going to bring out. Surely map dependent in that. So I honestly, what would you like to see the St. Clair Saints come out with?
I'm always a big fan of seeing Prince Wada on Reinhardt. It's nearly 100% success rate from what I've seen. It's such a strong that he's really comfortable on. And I think the Reinhardt Zarya combo is a really strong line to take, especially on that Lighthouse point. Even moving into something like Ruins, having that double shield is a really good way to get yourself established on those points. You mentioned getting knocked off the map. Lucio, obviously a super strong support pick to follow up with that. So obviously it will come down to what the Saints actually decide to do. And it looks like they're taking a unique approach here. Prince Wada actually going to opt for the ball. Not going to lie, Seymour, not a fan when I see Prince Wada on the ball to start off a round. But, you know, it is what it is. We'll see how it plays out. And St. Clair getting started here on Ruins.
Yeah, I know that he can make it done with this Wrecking Ball composition. Ball Hog so strong and already scouting out. You got the double bubble on the opposite side, running that Tracer for the dive, and even a good counter out. The Brig on the side of Florida Atlantic looking to shut down Prince Wada on that ball. Going to be quite the nuisance. And in this initial battle, you got that flank coming out ball on that Ana with the Tracer as well. Knocked out from the Brig, but the damage has been done, and St. Clair are pouncing on their play. You do the trades in. Still contested on point, but in the neutral right here, St. Clair looking really strong to come out. Command is caught out of position with this Brig bat battle, but coming out on top once again, St. Clair looking to take this point.
Did an incredible job of getting themselves established at that point. It's kind of what we were talking about, that tank line. Yeah, sure, maybe I'm not a huge fan of the ball, I'll admit, I'm a little biased, but it does provide a lot of value in terms of disruption. This ball Roadhog lineup to keep the enemy off the point. You have a lot of ways of kind of manipulating the enemy's movement, and it's really good when you combine it with these flanking or pick off DPS, this sniper in the Ash, this flanker in the Tracer. Really good way at finding that one target, using that momentum to snowball onto the point.
And that's the second one already. The dive in, bubbles expended from Florida Atlantic. Kale's in some trouble. The immortality's used from St. Clair. Apostle comes out with a big kill off screen. In fact, gonna burn the whole hog as well. Pop the Zarya in the back line. St. Clair, they get the res, they equalize the battle. Florida Atlantic doing a good job at isolating Apostle. He's going to be burned by the Echo. St. Clair stabilizing in this with Kale finding a double piece off screen as well. And looking to come out on top with this. The Tracer spotted, no recall as well, just looking to stay alive. And the Primal, some ult battery here for St. Clair, who are ultimately coming up on top with this fight, Zeddy.
Yeah, it looks like for St. Clair here, one of the big values that they're finding in these team fights is the fact that they're not getting focused on their DPS. Kale was basically untouched the entirety of that team fight, and as I say that, he actually does end up dropping here, but managed to charge up Bob in a ridiculously quick amount of time, and didn't really even need to commit it on that fight, holding on to a lot of resources there. And I guess it's Florida Atlantic, they're finding team fights, but they're just not finding those key targets, and because of that, these fights are looking a little sloppy.
Well, they finally flipped the point. St. Clair at the 64% mark, going to be stopped. And Apostle dropping again. First hand's going to stall this attack even longer. They're going to jump onto Commando with that double bubble. Echoes there, burns the immortality. A big initiation from Florida. Might not find a kill, but a key ability out of play right now for St. Clair College.
Important to find those, right? If you can find an advantage to get set up, you know, push up a little farther, force the enemy to blow something that, you know, they don't really want to commit to early. Actually, the Graviton getting committed here now from Tamarin. That's going to be a huge triple bomb for Ayayaki, and that's going to wipe the fight for Florida Atlantic, nearly taking out every member of St. Clair.
Now, almost a tie game here, Zeddy. You have Break Rally and Duplicate on Florida Atlantic University. For St. Clair, I mean, they're close to the whole hog, and that should be the first one that they come up on. Command is soon to have that bat wall indeed, as it is a quick ultimate to be grabbed, but Florida Atlantic taking very close up positioning here, looking to use the rally early, so they do. Holding on to that duplicate yet. Haven't burnt it just yet, as they're coming out without needing to use it. And available switching to that Echo, hoping to turn the tides, but Atlantic right now, Florida, everything going their way.
Just seems like St. Clair had such a strong point, like hold on the point, and then the second they lost it, they haven't been able to regroup. Prince Wada going back to base to regroup is just a 10% off of the bomb there. If you can manage to get himself set up on point, maybe with a good ultimate to zone off Florida. However, 3 ultimates available on the side of Florida could make this next fight a little bit tricky. But there goes Wada diving into the backline, trying to find himself set up on this point for this path.
Available, already find that first blood. Bapwell's going to be primed from Florida Atlantic. Duplicate's finally using that Roadhog. Apostle burned off of that with that Echo duplicate. Wrecking Ball, Prince Wada going to drop the mines on the corner of the point, looking to zone this out even longer, but him pulling out with really key resurrection. Still looking to hold on to this, but St. Clair College folding at every seam. The pulse bomb's going to put Apostle off the map. Prince Wada trying to stay alive, but it's so hard when that Echo Beam is burning you from above. Florida Atlantic University with everything in their favor. They're going to come out with this map 1 on Ruins. and take a very good start to Ilios.
That's an absolutely huge win for Florida Atlantic. You're coming into this game already kind of, you're playing against a team that slightly favored to win, a team that typically favors this map and, does pretty well in general on Ilios. So you're kind of fighting an uphill battle. And to take map 1 in this set is just absolutely huge for your momentum, right? We were talking about that at the beginning of the cast about how huge momentum affects these games. And taking a win, getting a win in your pocket and riding it out in the best of 3 on these controlled point type maps, it's just absolutely huge because you're going on to the second map already having that comfort of, I have that win. I don't need to fight like for my life anymore. I can play with a little bit more confidence, a little less stress.
Looks like St. Clair going for a TP strat on the right side. They're switching the Sigma as well, who recently got some buffs. So interesting strat. Seen St. Clair do it last year. Going to take that initial positioning on the point with Imp looking for a boop. Going to be nullified by the bubble of Zarya. So the Winston's staying on the map. St. Clair being surrounded from all angles, but available with a really key opening to it. And Florida Atlantic, no resurrections. So already down a player. It's equalized with Commander going down. Bigger pick for Florida Atlantic. So St. Clair really has to make something out of this now, not having that Baptiste. And from every single angle, Florida Atlantic just taking the gunfights that they want. St. Clair gets the initial time, but they're going pound for pound right now.
Yeah, this initial fight here, just trading 1 DPS for 1 support, then 1 support for 1 DPS on the way back. And St. Clair, they're kill trading, but they're on point, so they're getting value out of it. But unfortunately for St. Clair, it's not going to last too much longer. Florida finally managing to break through Prince Wada's shield is going to mean the point flips now to Florida Atlantic, and they're going to start getting some percentage up for themselves. I do have to say, though, speaking about these comps, I'm really excited to see this Reinhardt out for St. Clair. Already that Shatter nearly available for Prince Wada means that they've got a big team fight on the horizon.
And the Diva from Apostle coming out, hopefully to counter out, maybe eat that Grav, stop the Echo from getting a lot of damage, and burn the Winston early. Coming up on Shatter for Prince Wada on the opposite side, both Primal and Flux with that duplicate to be used. And almost at that back wall as well. A big opening onto that Brigida. Duplicate's going to be used. Reinhardt versus Reinhardt. The big Shatter gets 3 from Prince Wada. And in fact, even takes the Zarya out. Stops the duplicate. Florida Atlantic used 2 ultimates and find nothing from it. Just make it 3. What can this Primal do other than stall this point? And the Tracer trying to keep them up, doing all the work right now for Florida Atlantic. 2 go down for the Saints, and the Echo Tracer, the 2 last, stalling out this point. 50% for Florida Atlantic before St. Clair can stop this possible with a big eat. And they're going to have point in their favor.
This is why I like to see Prince Wada on the Reinhardt. Every time he picks this hero, something just incredible happens on that point. You get these incredible shatters, you get these great cleanup kills. He has no problem just swinging that hammer, getting in that front line and doing some damage, which is exactly what you need against teams that are going to be fighting you in your face the way Florida Atlantic is. They're not scared to take these close-up fights against St. Clair, and this Reinhardt pick is just absolutely perfect for punishing that. You can already see that ultimate already back at 85%. He just used it last fight. He's going to have it up again for the next one. So Prince Wada really carrying these team fights for St. Clair.
The back wall here going to slow this attack from Florida Atlantic. You see they want to get around. St. Clair knows they have the Gravitic with the Flux, and it's eaten by Apostle. This is a huge play from Saints. They are going to work off this. They are going to burn the Braid as well because you no longer need it to counter out that grab. Another Shatter from Prince Wada knocks down 2. And the follow-through right now for the St. Clair Saints looking phenomenal as they are in such a good position to even probably take 85% before the next Florida Atlantic attack.
What did I say before this cast started? I said we want to see St. Clair pick up Reinhardt, and I said we want to see it on Lighthouse. And what do we have? Lo and behold, St. Clair whipping out the Reinhardt on Lighthouse, and it just looks absolutely phenomenal. Really playing towards their win condition here. Kale with the beautiful headshot onto Silvermask. That's going to slow down Florida Atlanta's approach here as they're sending this down. But the double
Kale.
Wait, this fight's getting a little out of hand.
This duplication has to go big, but what can you do when it's just a lonesome duplication and the rest of your team is falling behind you? Godzo making the world right now, actually. 3 players. Or no, that's the destruction of the Diva mech. And 2 go down, so I mean that duplication getting all the value and keeps them in it.
That pick seems to be really working out for Florida Atlantic. They like this pick, I believe we saw it a little bit onto Ruins as well, and it's just something that seems to be working out really well for them. They're getting a lot of value out of these ultimate skills, especially onto these tank lines from St. Clair. You're getting so much value adding all that additional front line to keep your healers alive in the background, especially with Telmax on the Zenyatta, a character that really likes having a PP front line to protect a character that otherwise really has no defensive utility, at least not individually. And as I say that, Apostle finding the 1v1 duels in the back line, but Florida getting really close to 100% here on this next fight.
St. Clair has to make something of this. The Diva Bomb is going to get that mech back for Apostle. He's going to find Godzo finally, but he's all alone here. And like you say, Florida Atlantic creeping closer to the victory on Ilios here. St. Clair College, when you thought they had it, the bomb maybe for the Tox, but beautiful Primal Rage to keep him off of it. And Florida Atlantic University not allowing St. Clair Saints to prime that overtime. And they are going to take map 1 with, I mean, it was close on that second map, but with general ease off the back of Gonzo's heroic duplication.
Incredible performance from this school. I mean, we came into this thinking, St. Clair, should be a pretty decent set, should be pretty good, might get a couple skirmishes going back and forth a little bit, but St. Clair should be able to close this out, and losing entirely game number 1, getting 2-0 on control on Ilios, completely unfounded for this team. It's not something we expect from St. Clair, and it really shows the level of talent that we're seeing in this league. Florida Atlantic really pulling up in that game number 1.
Well, now St. Clair put their backs against the wall here, losing their first initial map in the NECC. Yes, you play all 3, but if you want to take this one back, you want to go even 1-1 a series so you can still kind of come out with the win at the end of the day. You don't want to drop this next map. St. Clair looking to bounce back, and I'm not too sure where they're going to want to go to, but very practiced on their brawl. I mean, you saw how good they were with that Reinhardt. St. Clair College might look to a map that kind of benefits for a brawl sense, and it is going to be Eichenwald for this map number 2, and that's a little bit interesting for myself because it kind of favors both the dive and the brawl composition. So I'm really curious to see what St. Clair comes apart with this, but that Florida Atlantic most likely going to run the Echo double bubble standoff that they happen with that Tracer, and it's been so good. So St. Clair, they have to be aware of what they're walking into on Eichenwald and kind of come out with some counters.
What better place to whip out the Reinhardt than in glorious Eichenwald, right back on home turf. It's the perfect place to have that shield, especially when you're approaching that point underneath that bridge. Having that shield is just an absolutely huge way to actually breach through these points. And we can see St. Clair already set up with the Zarya Rein. It didn't work out on the last map, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad pickup. We've seen it happen a number of times from this team. It's a strong composition. It provides you with a ton of defensive utility, and it has great synergy with these long-range damage dealers that St. Clair is comboing with. You have this Mei, that off snipe with the ice shots. You've got Kale on the Hanzo. We've seen him pop off a number of times already this season with that long-range sniper. So you have these really strong defensive shielders to cover for these long-range damage dealers, and it forces Florida to overextend if they want to find those kills. They're going to have to dive a little deeper than maybe they would like to, and as long as St. Clair can hold that strong position under the bridge, should be a very difficult battle for Florida.
St. Clair looking to take the Mei fight on that bridge, but going to be hard with this Winston. Just set up for it. They got the Hanzo to break this shield, contest this Echo. It's going to be tough with the amount of area that Florida can take advantage of against this composition. Already, Winston zoning this out. You are going to have players on the field. The wall is going to wall off nothing, but into the backline Saints go, and they come out with a pick onto this Brig. Florida Atlantic taking some progression on point. St. Clair going to have to transition back to the objective, and in turn, in that transition, they do drop Kale on this Hanzo. So Florida Atlantic lose this first fight, but Kale has quite the track.
Such an unfortunate turn of events for St. Clair. I like the way that they pushed in deep. They noticed the opening in that front line. Like I said, you got to overextend if you want to break this point if you're Florida. So St. Clair noticing that, punishing the backline, the overextended backline for on the side of Florida, taking out those healers and those DPS in the back. But it's just hard because then you get back half like that a little bit. And Florida coming out on top huge in this fight. Guzzo finding a huge triple kill for himself, and that's going to be the point for Florida.
That duplication this time on the Zarya, getting that charge early. Not going to get a grab beforehand, but already doing what you needed to do. And that first point after the first fight goes to the Saints. The second fight sailed by Florida Atlantic University. You have to see Prince Wada and Imp here. They can't drop their lives because it was going to stagger it out even longer for the St. Clair Saints. They're coming up on that May Blizzard, so might look to initiate it with it early. And from the top of this castle, they're going to get that pick once again onto the break. Now drop down with the May ult. And that is going to hopefully isolate that Zarya for another pick. With that Ana being behind them, St. Clair Saints pushing this front line. Now they have to back up and take their sights to clear the rest.
Good job on Kale to find that pick onto Silver Mask in the back. It was really well done from them to isolate the team fight like that. You know, we talk about St. Clair's incredible target focus, the way that they team fight, the way that they keep their eyes on those core targets, pick them off, isolate them from the rest of their team, and basically zone them off of the fights completely. And that's exactly what St. Clair did on that last fight. Beautiful usage of the May ult by available to hold on to that point. And now the Graviton getting committed by Tamarin, but the rest of his team just drops immediately. That's not going to lead to much. And unfortunately for Florida, that huge cooldown getting committed, not really getting much in return.
You use both the Grav Pulse combo for Florida Atlantic University in that fight, and nullified by the beat of Imp. Prince Wada stops the attack from the front line, and beautifully played by Saints to honestly take away such an impactful ultimate. And in turn, St. Clair Dragon with the Grav. You burn the Nano. If you're Florida Atlantic, what's it going to cost? 3 of your players. And this Winston, he's going to have to get out with his life because he is wasting so much time right now.
Really got to take a page out of St. Clair's playbook. Like, that's how you use a Graviton Surge, man. That's how you get that value. Find that core combo, find that ability, set up, zone the enemy off before they're grouped as 6, and a beautiful execution from Apostle and Kale to completely dominate that last push. Now, Florida is going to find themselves a little bit of space here, might push forward a little bit, get that payload moving, but St. Clair has done such an incredible job of holding this defensive line.
St. Clair just scraping along here. Mayo is going to be used. Primal on the other hand. They also burn the duplicate if they're Florida Atlantic. St. Clair, they have to come out with this win with the amount of space they've been giving. Now it's time to take the space on back. And who else but Prince Wada to start this trek? They're walking right down the streets of Eichenwald. They're looking to stagger out this support. They do it. And Zarya, the next target, also going to fall to the Saints. Brig jumping off the map to stop this even longer. Finally going to go down 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the second point right now. You're coming up on Grav Pulse once again for Florida Atlantic, and Imp 61% to that beat. You're looking at Commanda to use the immortality well.
Just a great push from St. Clair. They found that moment. They gave Florida a little bit of space, but it was calculated space. Let's find that opportune time to push in, that positional advantage, wait for that perfect moment to strike. And now that team fight again. What did I say? These Graviton Surges are absolutely crazy. Apostle popping off in these team fights, finding the 3-man grab to lead to the 4K for the team. Beautiful job from St. Clair, holding again at that wall. And even though they're giving Florida an inch, that's all that Florida's getting. They're not really able to find any more space than that. And St. Clair really only having to commit those 2 crucial ultimates. They've got 2 more on the horizon. Kale at 100%, Imp nearly at 100 as well. Wada holding onto that shatter, finding that moment to use it. This next fight's going to be big for St. Clair.
Oh, the shatter going to stop it once again. Pulse bomb used with the Grav. St. Clair staying alive for now, but Florida Atlantic with their dive setup, taking so many different angles into this attack that St. Clair just couldn't stand in the neutral fight. And Imp, although he had a little bit extra time to get that beat, not enough time to get it in the end. So the Grav Pulse not going to be nullified. St. Clair might look to use this beat to re-engage with the Dragon and the Blizzard. They have enough time to do so. Florida Atlantic, Duplicate, and Primal coming up very shortly, but that is a huge kill for St. Clair to get, and even a second one. Now there's the Blizzard to commit onto the point. The follow-through from the Saints. 3 are down from Florida Atlantic, and that is a big wipe with only 1 ultimate use.
Love to see St. Clair here push forward and chase off this Zarya. See if you can find that trickle pick, that stagger. I don't think they're going to be able to find it here, but an otherwise excellent team fight from St. Clair. Kale doing an incredible job finding that key target, taking out that support, slowing down the pace of the game. And this pick from Prince Wada is absolutely huge. Finding the fireball kill onto Ayafi is going to mean that Florida Atlantic can't actually make this push the way they want to with only 25 seconds left on the clock. This last push is going to be all or nothing from Florida. St. Clair doing an incredible job really forcing the enemy into an uncomfortable position, a position they don't want to be in on this last push, but they might have just overextended a little bit.
Commanda had both the immortality there as well, so a misuse of the ability is going to provide Florida with that opening, with that pulse bomb, to kind of pick away at the Saints now, allowing another shot at this, and it does look like Florida is going to be able to cap this. Unless the Saints are going to get there with the touch. That's the contention from the Reinhardt with Bailable on there, but just a little bit too much to work with. The Valkyrie from Tellum. And St. Clair Saints just biding their time here. Going to be looking at this third point. A minute 30 left. You're coming up on that graph pulse once again. And Imp 11% into this beat. Another situation where you're going to have to see Commander come out big, or the St. Clair Saints kind of put one to the front line of the Florida Atlantic to kind of stall out this attack.
Fortunate call from St. Clair. They thought they could get the hold, but they were a little too staggered, and it ends up punishing them in a big way. Florida Atlantic not only able to tap that second point, but get this third one moving quite a bit. But now St. Clair pressing the go button. They've got the shatter coming down from Prince Wada. It's absolutely huge. Available with the swap to the jump right, providing tons of AoE damage. Kale gonna find the cleanup onto Tamarind as well. Now St. Clair holding off on this payload, just swinging away at that Tracer. Apostle is going to find the counter kill onto Ayafi, and that should be able to push Florida off this point. Now, if you're St. Clair, you gotta slow things down. You got about 30 seconds left. Use that time, charge up your ultimate, and make sure this next fight is clean, because if it goes badly, it could cost you the game.
Well, they got Grav back wall here. They're gonna look to use it on the wall as soon as Florida walks through this choke. Florida looking to bait it out early, but St. Clair's a no-go. You got Bailable on this as Junkrat as well. So much spam for this third point of Eichenwald. Florida swaps to the Reinhardt. Here we go. There's the Grav. The Immortality's used, but the Bapwell going to provide so much damage. The Transcendence is burned from Florida Atlantic. Going to keep the team alive. Duplicate's going to take down a Commander. Two Reinhardts versus the one of Prince Wada. There's not a lot you can do on this front line. Florida Atlantic bully the way on through. In the team fight, you just see back and forth from either side. And St. Clair, you have to count on this Dragon along with this Junkrat Tire to pull this one back. Florida Atlantic so close to capping this one out. Mario Blue, the only ultimate. Tell him almost at this back wall. So crucial for this fight, but here's the Dragon. St. Clair gonna have to stagger themselves in for the touch. The Immortality gonna keep the team alive with this Dragon in turn. Junkrat Tower gonna burn the Reinhardt. You have to force yourself on the point if you are Florida Atlantic, and everybody just kind of staggering onto this. Florida Atlantic, the better setup. The ball, Apostle knocks him off the high ground, gets the pile drive. Godzo on the Doofus. The Grav is going to keep them in one place. And St. Clair College almost pulling them off of this. They're going to hold third point with barely any time here. Florida Atlantic almost capturing it in that overtime, but St. Clair College holds strong.
So incredible from St. Clair. There was so much pressure on Kale and Bailable to single-handedly defend that point. As you mentioned, the only two ults available were the Riptire and the Dragon Strike. And that means really in that choke, in that little amount of time when your team is already so staggered, those ultimates have to come in huge. And they did. St. Clair managing to find, I believe, 2 picks off of the usage of those ultimates and using them to zone off of Florida so that Prince Wada could get established on point with the ball and hold his ground, get that defensive swing around to knock everybody off that point, hold it tight, and keep that defense strong. Really well done from St. Clair to just use their ultimates in a creative way and keep Florida off of that attack. Now for St. Clair on this attack, they have to take the payload pretty much all the way there. So this attack not only needs to be strong, but it needs to be efficient as well. You only have a limited amount of time. You have to make the most of those resources that you have.
Now St. Clair, they had to push all 3 points, Zeddy. They have to be very efficient with it as well. Bailable going to come out with the Reaper, looking to burn Mario Blue on that Winston as fast as Saints can possibly do so. Double Bubble going to have to be used very efficiently for Florida. It's going to be interesting to see on either side. Florida Atlantic's dive has looked stellar, but St. Clair College on their brawl date, you know that it could be the spear to push this attack.
I actually like Bailable's choice to swap to the McCree here. I was a little nervous about the choice of the Reaper. Yes, it's good into the tank line, it's good into the Zarya, it's good into the Winston, but it's not particularly great against these really quick and small heroes such as the Tracer and the Echo. And speaking of Tracer, Kale with the nice headshot, going to lead off that point with that beautiful pick, and that's exactly how you need to play this point. You find that target, you stagger them in, especially with such a long walk back to the point. Any pick you have is double value on offense, but unfortunately for St. Clair, just overextending into the Zarya. Tamarind coming up huge for Florida Atlantic, 65% already charged on that ultimate. Great defense from Florida to hold St. Clair at that choke and not allow us even a single touch onto the point to start this round off.
And now Florida, they're coming up on that Grav. No pulse just yet. We have Primal as well as St. Clair looking to push through with this shatter from Prince Wada that you're walking into. Double bubble, gonna take some drop control. St. Clair rotating onto the left side of this objective, looking to get to the point, but a big boop from Tellum. That's Apostle off the map. And even the grab gonna be on there with no immortality. St. Clair College fold, burning that BAP wall. Very well executed from Florida Atlantic.
I like this push from St. Clair, though. We saw a very similar strategy being employed by Florida on that first point. You got dive forward, you get that back cap, you get that first tick, and at the very least, you've kind of got yourselves a little bit set up so that when you do have your ultimates available, that next push, you have the time to completely take it. It's hard to take 3 ticks in 1 point on a map like Eichenwald. So getting that first tick now is actually really big for St. Clair, and they still have 2 minutes to make something of it. Going in for this next push here, there's the shatter coming down. I don't actually believe that connected with anyone, but Prince Wada does able to find the pick onto Soba Mask. Unfortunately, overextending a little bit too far. The DPS is going to get punished huge. In Florida, finding 5 kills for themselves, chasing Apostle back home. They're going to get the kill here as well, and that's the team kill for Florida Atlantic on this defense.
But ultimates used in that, what you're looking for in this next one is the post bomb from Iafi. Kale and Baleable do it both St. Clair DPS ultimates, maybe a speed with the high noon and wait for the Kale's Dragon to combo with Apostle's Grav. You got 1 tick of progression, minute 33, St. Clair grouped together. They have to get past this drop control. They've struggled with it so much, and in turn, Mario's going to be here. Pulse Bomb going to be burning that immortality, and once again, Florida, with their surrounding angles, are going to take St. Clair down in this fight.
It really just looks like St. Clair is getting outclassed in every single way here. Every time they go in for a push, Florida has the answer. Their positioning is just immaculate. They've got this complete trust in Mario Blue and Tim to hold that front line, that double bubble as you were talking about. And then these heals coming out from Brigitte, from the Baptiste, that long range healing that you can provide without necessarily having to put yourself in harm's way, makes it really hard for St. Clair to actually do what they do best, which is find those picks. And now this Graviton coming in from Tamarin, holding all of St. Clair at the hold. Apostle's going to respond with one of his own. Not really too many bodies yet to drop here, but now the kills are coming out, and both teams trading back and forth. Ayafi finding the melee onto Apostle is going to round that out. Baleable does find the mirror kill onto Godzo, but it's not enough. St. Clair, their members are scattered, and with 26 seconds left, you know what this means, Seymour. This is the final push. This is the one, the make or break it.
They have to take Mario off that high ground. They're struggling with this drop control. They have to clear it first, but unfortunately for St. Clair, there's not a lot you really can do with this competition, so they just got to barrel through this choke, take this control. Mario not going to be there for the drop control. They're going to take the fight on point here. Kale overextends a little bit, almost drops, has to back up to the back line, and St. Clair just from every single angle. Florida deplete them on their health. They take the kills, and they hold strong on this first point. St. Clair only taking barely 2 ticks in this Eichenwald map, and that just shows how strong this setup from Florida Atlantic University can be. Rocking that double bubble, taking the fight on that front line, making sure the drop control gets as much as it can, and countless times just getting rid of that immortality provides so much for the Echo as well as that Tracer. It just gives them the openings that they need to take control of this fight.
A lot of things we can say about this series. We can talk how the tank line executed from Florida Atlantic was just a stronger combination. They were just able to execute on that better. We can talk about how the DPS just came up harder for Florida Atlantic. But I think really the biggest thing that stood out to me was the Zarya difference. Tamarin was just able to make so much more usage out of this pick than we saw a little bit. I see you shaking your head a little bit. Maybe you're not completely agreeing. That's all good. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'm just seeing all Tamarin popping off in nearly every fight. These Gravitons are all
well, it's so much comes out where Saints are taking this fight. I mean, you know that drop control. I mean, every single fight, the drop controls would stall them out there. I would have liked to see St. Clair switch something up. You know, make sure that they can clear that high ground first, and then allow a little bit harder. I mean, that Zarya difference you're talking about, it's just so hard when you're kind of forced into those uncomfortable positions. It really seems like St. Clair in its whole, they were just approaching that fight in the wrong way. And I would have liked to see them kind of maybe swap to a diva in the sense and clear that high ground with your Hanzo. Just anything really to just provide a safe passage through that chokehold that was being set up from Florida Atlantic. And moving over into Watchbody Gibraltar, which will be that map number 3, I need to see something for St. Clair to contest that high ground. A double bubble, a Diva Winston, anything to kind of take it to the front line of Florida, because Florida Atlantic are doing so are doing so well in just that initial fight that they're taking. When it does come to that double bubble jump, when it comes to taking a comfortable battle, Florida Atlantic know where they want to fight, and St. Clair, they're just, it seems like they really don't know where they want to take their battles.
That's a fair point. I guess the Zarya difference is more symptomatic of the mis-execute on the team fight position, just not being able to make use of the Zarya pick. Not necessarily that the pick was wrong, you're just not able to execute it properly when you could pick something that gives you a little bit more high ground advantage. We can already see now St. Clair trying to hold this high ground into Florida Atlantic. The Genji pick coming up from Godzo is really interesting. I like this pick a lot, especially on Watchpoint for Gibraltar. You have a lot of ways of getting yourself charged up on your ultimate, finding lots of cool angles to get those climbs, make advantage of that jump passive, scale up those walls, find those high ground angles to get your poke damage off. But St. Clair holding this Zarya Winston now for themselves, this double bubble. Maybe they're going to be able to execute on that as well, taking a page out of Florida Atlantic's playbook and putting it into their own, seeing how that executes for them here on this defense.
Florida Atlantic, one vision right now is that nano blade that they're going to be working up to. Kale and Baleable already worked that backline, take out both the Genji and that Ana, but in turn, both teams dropping a heavy amount of players. Now that is a big dive from the Brig, gonna use that shield bash into Apostle's bubble. It allows Apostle to stay alive in that, in turn allow Baleable that opening to take the rest down. Now into this next fight, like I said, you're looking at that nano blade in the end of it, but before that, you're gonna have Iafi with that pulse bomb that's done so much to break open this team.
St. Clair here, you've got a lot of ways of diving onto this backline of Florida. As soon as they make the dive onto you, you can kind of respond with a dive of your own. And at that point, it really comes down to a tank battle. Who can find these core picks off first? The win con is Nano Blade. How can we shut that down? How can we prevent that ult charge? How can we pick them off before this fight breaks out? And Prince Wada doing exactly what he needs to do. Does end up getting zoned off there. Kill. Finding the headshot onto Mario Blue. That's going to be absolutely huge for St. Clair if they're able to take out this tank line. And now a 4v4 onto the point. The duplication is available for Baleable. Maybe he can get some value out of this here. Not willing to commit it yet. Doesn't really need to either. St. Clair able to just hold this off in neutral while they wait for some of those extra ultimates to come online.
Well, anything that Florida can take right now is just extra. Still playing for that Nano Blade. Going to be coming up in that next fight. The double bubble going to be used to avoid Kale's stun. Winston in that backline doing a plethora of damage. Here's the Nano Blade for Florida Atlantic. It is going to be going after that Winston, but right now, big ultimate from Imp is going to stall this out. Nothing from the Nano Blade. St. Clair zoning it and surviving such a heavy ultimate. Brilliant plays from the St. Clair College Saints.
Just a great job from the Saints. Like you said, it's about finding out that Nano Blade. That's the big win con for Florida Atlantic. And St. Clair knew exactly what they needed to do to defend themselves against that scary combo. They have the Brigida in the backline, committing the ultimate, getting that extra health, armor, and movement speed to dodge out on some of those attacks and find that survivability. Zoning off with the knockback as well to keep Godzo at bay. He's actually going to switch back to the Echo. We saw him pop off on it previously in other rounds. Actually, I got the names mixed up. Yeah, it was Godzo on the Genji, now onto the Echo. But St. Clair here, with the Nano available, looking to maybe find that onto Prince Wada on the Winston and get some damage on into the enemy backline. Just holding it slowly, though. They don't really need to commit anything, so they won't. And there goes the Nano now for Commanda in this fight. Prince Wada doing tons of damage in the backline with that big boost, but losing his backline in return. Baleable and Commanda both going to drop the DPS line of Florida Atlantic, and that's the opening that they need. Finding those 4 kills, Prince Wada will be the next to fall, and Florida Atlantic should be able to drive this point home.
Well, St. Clair, you saw what they were going for, the Nano Winston, but with both of their supports standing on top of each other, just an easy target for Tamarin to kind of take control of. You have that Nano Winston, but in turn, you are going to grab that backline and just could grab onto them. And now St. Clair in return, going to grab the front line, stop them at the door. 3 go down fast. You only lose Baleable in the trades. St. Clair with a big answer back here.
This is a good play from St. Clair. Yes, Florida was able to cap that point and to get that time, that extra time in the bank. But now you've completely nullified their push, and you didn't really have to commit too much aside from the grab. So you've still got a lot of ultimates coming up here as well. Knowing Florida doesn't really have any resources available to them, you can kind of stagger them off this point with calculated usage of your ultimates. Maybe you commit 1 or 2, win a team fight, commit another 1 or 2, and give your team the time to trickle out their ultimates. Because Florida will never actually have the opportunity to get that 6v6 fight if you're able to keep trickling. Prince Wada committing that primal rage, trying to do it in the back line, but he's going to get kind of zoned off here. The sleep actually coming out, going to knock him down a little bit. And St. Clair, they dove so far in trying to hold this defense, and they're just not able to find those picks that they need.
Finally, they take at least the Ana and the Winston in it for this attack. Gets the Bob out of play as well. Still staggering out at this point. Apostle going to be on top there. And finally, Florida Atlantic get to push the second wave. Him coming up on that Brig ultimate. You do have the high noon for Kale. Going to be taking that high ground advantage. In turn, Tamarin with that grab probably going to be used here, so you're going to be popping in with this Brig ultimate. Prince Wada already out of this fight. A big purple into the backline on both of their supports is going to be the dive position for Florida Atlantic to go for. Commanda isolated out. St. Clair College, they are just not in the right positions for this fight to kind of favor them. So Florida Atlantic should ultimately come out with this third point. It's just a matter of time in sense.
Just an unfortunate play from St. Clair. You're not really calculating the risks on the enemy team. That nade from Silvamask was absolutely huge in that last fight, turning everyone purple on the side of St. Clair. Once you lose that healing advantage on that fight, once those shields go down and you're still an anti, it's really hard to take those skirmishes. You talk about how St. Clair likes to brawl. Well, how are you going to brawl if you have no healing on your side? It's impossible to take those brawls. You need to find coordinated picks, and that's just not what the St. Clair comp was designed to do, or at least not the way they were intending on piloting it. Now, however, for St. Clair, you do have the nano boost available. There is the Deadeye as well for Kale. Maybe they can find something using the 2 ultimates here. That Graviton getting committed by Tamarin is absolutely huge. Godzo with the triple kill as Ayafi commits Bob as well to find that last little pickup. And now Florida is just going to run the Saints right back into their spawn, driving that payload forward with 3 men on top. Available is going to be the last to fall. And now St. Clair are stuck trickling onto this point.
You have to touch. Nothing more to say than that. You are going to walk in there. Prince Wada has that primal. High noon from Kale. Comes out with two big kills as well. The Mercy's going down. Now the duplicate to stall out with the primal from both Prince Wada and Bailable in turn. You have the high noon from Gonzo on the duplicate as well. Bailable looking to get these players off the map, but you have to worry about the back line as well. As St. Clair with a big high noon from Kale are going to stop this finally. You have to worry about this, as you're right. Can't play this like a brawl comp like your other situations. They have to take the fight to Florida, and you have to work off of Apostle's grab, really, to start this off.
Beautiful play from Kale. That double kill on the high noon, yeah, he's going to die for it, unfortunately, but he takes out the Mercy and the Ashe, and that's absolutely perfect for St. Clair because you're removing the highest damaging threat and the highest healing threat as well, and that actually allows you to take that good trickle. Apostle now committing that Graviton Surge is going to hold Florida at the door. Maybe they can keep this defense alive a little bit. 5 seconds left on the clock, and Florida is kind of forced to trickle in here as well. They've got to keep a man on the point in order for this fight to go well for them. Prince Wada does find the trick onto Godzo. Tamarin getting the kill onto Apostle. However, in this situation, you've got closer spawns. It's okay to take these kill trades. You just have to keep fighting, and St. Clair doing everything they can to keep Florida at bay. That is going to be Mario Blue diving onto the point as well. The double bubble getting committed, and Florida has the push in their favor. Now St. Clair's left to trickle. Ayayafi with a huge headshot. Apostle's going to find the kill in the backline, but you're gone too far, man. You've got to get on the point, and that's going to be Florida completing the cap. 3 points going their way on map number 3.
That was just well executed from Florida in the end there. I mean, you saw Tamarin was super low. Prince Wada tried to get it, got a bubble back in time, provided 200 extra health. Was able to escape back to the line of sight of your supports to stay alive in that battle. St. Clair College almost hold point 3, but not able to do so. Forces them in an uncomfortable situation where they have to capture all 3 points to find this map off of Florida Atlantic. But it's going to be a tough situation to deal with.
Absolutely.
What do you want to see St. Clair switch up here?
It's hard to say. I mean, the defensive and offensive strategies, like Watchpoint Gibraltar is one of those maps where it really does actually affect, like, your composition changes drastically whether you're attacking or defending, and that's usually the case with these escort style maps. But Watchpoint Gibraltar especially, like we saw on the last point, Florida Atlantic came out with the Genji to lead things off. Not necessarily looking for that from St. Clair, but you can get a little bit more aggressive with your picks. You can go for these harder dive options, but it looks like St. Clair going to go for this long-range sniper style instead. Not really the best choice into dive when you know you're kind of getting messed up by a Winston on your backline. It is a little bit of a risky outlook, but if Available is able to find those picks early, it is a long walk of shame back to the point here for Florida Atlantic. So high risk, high reward style choice from St. Clair. Hard to judge until we see how it plays out, but definitely very ambitious look from St. Clair. Available doing whatever he can to kind of keep himself out of vision right now. Wants to keep this pick a secret until he can find that headshot to lead things off. And unfortunately, not going to be able to find it. Does get spotted out by Godzo to lead off the point.
The Robo Sniper combo, pulling it back a few seasons. Florida Atlantic doing a great job at kind of maintaining a line of sight and even finding that backline. Mario gets in the back, takes down that sniper. Ultimately, go time right now for Florida Atlantic to kind of stick it to St. Clair Saints. Godzo coming out with that Winston should end this fight, and the rest are going to have to back up, die fast, or get out and maintain their positioning for the next one.
Exactly what you expect when you pick that Widowmaker. You have to be careful of the Winston, and Available just flew a little too close to the sun, and Mario Blue coming in from the skies, cleaning off that kill is going to make it very hard for St. Clair to approach this point. They need to find a pick with the sniper, and I guess St. Clair, they recognize, you know, maybe the Widowmaker into the Winston wasn't the best pick. Going to swap to the Ash. At least you have a little bit more frontline durability. You can switch to the semi-auto and try to get a little bit more damage done when you're in those melee situations. And now St. Clair actually able to get this point pushed a decent way. They've kind of flipped the defense on Florida, and they've now set themselves up on the point. They're going to have to back off a little bit and look for these kills. And these 2 kills to start off the fight on both the DPS members of Florida Atlantic is going to be absolutely huge this next team fight. Now this team fight as well, Apostle and Kale going to find the pick up onto the tank and healing as well, and that's going to mean the point for St. Clair. A pretty solid push from them. After that Widowmaker switch came out, they were able to get it fairly decent win on that team fight. You know, didn't really have to take too much, commit too much. You've still got this Graviton Surge coming up available. You've got the Primal Rage. You've got the Brigida ult as well. So 5 ultimates really on the horizon for St. Clair as they take this next fight, and they're going to have them just a couple seconds before Florida if they can get some advantage out of this before this next fight breaks out.
Apostle on that high ground. He is going to be isolated. Brilliant from the side of Florida. Noticing that line of that impact, taking the first fight. Imp does find the trade in the midst of it, but still Florida taking this advantage. They're not even having to burn too many ultimates. Imp's going to pull this break ult, but ultimately the rally not going to find anything in a 1-on-5. St. Clair Saints. 3 minutes and 52 seconds to find something out of this.
You know, St. Clair went into that fight with all these ultimates available, didn't commit any, and then Florida beat you without using any of theirs either. Like, it's just such an awkward situation where you had this advantage, you didn't take it, and now you're heavily disadvantaged. All 6 ultimates available now for Florida Atlantic. It's going to mean this next fight is going to be incredibly hard for St. Clair. It's definitely a lot of patience, however, is required from Florida to know which ultimates need to get committed when, so that you don't overextend and blow all of your resources, throw all, you know, really put everything right into that one fight. And Mario Blue so far doing a great job of finding that pick without needing it. However, the counter kill does come out for Kale. Like to see St. Clair committing some ultimates here, and there they are. The Primal Rage and the Nano Boost is going to lead off this fight for St. Clair.
Well, in turn, though, look, Florida Atlantic gets the initial 2 picks, and they haven't used 1 of 6 ultimates yet that are still in their arsenal. Finally going to pull the rally. Prince Wada takes out Godzo, so playing a player up right now, going to burn this Grav inside them. The rally keeping them alive with that Nano. Prince Wada still burning through it with his taser. Florida Atlantic withstands a heavy ultimate, and they answer back with 3 brilliant kills in the backline.
Incredible job from Florida Atlantic to get these kills in situations where you really don't expect them to. Prince Wada diving a little too deep is going to get cleaned up by Tamarind as well. And now Florida is going to be able to hold this defense. However, they had to commit 5 out of their 6 ultimates. St. Clair managed to actually preserve their ultimates to some degree. You've got the Kale High Noon, and now Prince Wada with the Primal Rage nearly charged up again should mean a slight advantage for St. Clair going into this next fight. You just have to recognize this, track those ultimates, take advantage of the fact that you know that you have more resources available to yourself, and push it and abuse it. If you don't take advantage of the space now, it's gonna bite you in the butt later. So now Florida trying to get themselves set up defensively. They know they don't have a whole lot of resources to use. So St. Clair trying to find this push, get that opening, and commit these ultimates, take that big fight that you have.
What ultimates are you going to be looking for right now? Kale, High Noon, a Yafi High Noon on the opposite side. High ground control for the Saints, but setting up that dive position on the left side rafters. Florida Atlantic going to have that go time. Big Purple in the back. Comanda's going to be out of commission shortly, but staying alive in turn finally goes down. Florida Atlantic, a well set up attack here. St. Clair down to a minute 30 in turn. Now, you just have to kind of withstand and go into this next fight. There's nothing really you can do about that one. That purple was just fantastic.
We've talked in previous games about how St. Clair likes to panic ults. However, this time it looks like they've cleaned up a little bit. Not actually committing the High Noon there is going to be big for St. Clair because it means they are going to have it available for this next push. So with these next 2 ultimates coming up on the horizon, Balebo and Apostle making their way towards those ultis, you've got 3 already on the side of St. Clair versus the 1 on the side of Florida. So having these ultimates available might be the difference maker in this team fight as St. Clair takes the time to slowly rack up charge on the rest of these characters. But Prince Wada getting picked off to lead up that fight, not what you want to see when you're running so little on time.
Setting up that point of contact until Florida Atlantic. Mario is very low, but you drop your Winston, you take 4 in turn with that opening onto Prince Wada. You're down to 30 seconds, and this has to be a really big High Noon rally. Anything for Saints to push through on this point. Point 2, usually not finding this much pushback. Tamarind has the grab. You have a nano as well as a duplicate. Plenty in the arsenal of Florida to stall out this attack. Rally's going to be burned by St. Clair. They're going to be taking this space. High Noon on the opposite side, but who are you going to be shooting at? Everybody's burning line of sight. Oh, that was almost a break in your turn, but well played from Florida. Again, going to be taking this to grab. Going to be on that front line soon as everybody just burning what they can. Godzo pulls a duplicate, takes over the High Noon, and in fact, going to find something big on St. Clair like candy right now, and that is the grab finally put into the backline of the Saints. You see Florida Atlantic pushing through. Only 2 left here. The duplicate available on that Zarya, but right now there's not a lot you can do for Saints. The time is going to tick. The candle wick is burned, and St. Clair College are going to drop this series in the NECC regular season week 6. 3-0 to Florida Atlantic University.
Completely unexpected. I'm honestly baffled at the way that this series turned out. Tamarind, again, picking up the play of the game. Maybe this is why I said it was Zarya Dip. I just you keep seeing his face up here on these post-game screens, doing incredible work with these ultimates. He makes such good value out of these Graviton surges. I do want to comment, though, however, you made a really good point about this high ground control and how it's affecting these games. And, I mean, that really seemed to be the kicker in that game number 3. Florida just had way better high ground control, and because of that, they were able to get that ult charge more safely. They were able to find picks in situations where St. Clair wasn't able to get counter kills, and these small advantages will allow them to make this win look so convincing. 3-0 victory over a team that was favored to win is not something you usually see or expect, and it really goes to show how creative Florida was with their strategy and how well they executed on their game plan.
We're still going through the regular season. Some bumps for St. Clair Saints as a tough match today. In sense, on paper, looked like you were going to take the victory, but Florida Atlantic, very well practiced, well initiated, and well communicated for this victory in their sense. I have to say, they were looking impressive in their sense. I mean, you always saw Mario setting up with Tamarind on that double bubble, knowing where they wanted to take those fights, and then at that spam from the Echo, the Tracer, and on most of those maps from Florida, they were just honestly they're working well with each other, and the trust was in turn. You didn't see them all scuttled in together for the Grav Apostle to really take a big pick, and a lot of the time when you saw St. Clair, their ultimates were maybe taking 1 or 2, or a lot of the time not finding anything. So Florida Atlantic, I have to say, just came out with a brilliant play on all ends. They were really well practiced on that double bubble and showing that they're a team to kind of be worried about in the NECC and looking to climb up this ladder in turn.
A great read on the meta maybe coming out from Florida. Like they just know how to execute that comp and how best they can use it to exploit the weaknesses that St. Clair had. I personally love the Reinhardt Zarya. It just didn't execute for St. Clair. And when they switched to that Winston Zarya, we saw a little bit of a stronger performance from St. Clair. So maybe that's kind of the angle that St. Clair needs to look into. Maybe employing this double bubble for yourself. You're seeing how strong it is used against you. Maybe we can try to use that ourselves going into future games down the line. That being said, I mean, you can only attribute so much of the blame to composition. At the end of the day, it really comes down to player execution and player skill. And Florida just demonstrated that they have incredible player skill all across their roster, and it led them to their victory today.
Well, I have to say, quite a victory for Florida today. St. Clair Saints, it's not going to be the end of them as they have so many teams behind them in this college and a big schedule ahead of them that we can take a look at. Isn't that right, Zeddy? So we're going to run through it, and you can already see March 18th, this Thursday, the Rocket League team in play versus 8 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War squad on March 20th, Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. On that Sunday, you do see the CSGO team is going to be playing off in quite the duel, and face it. Whereas we finally on that Monday get to return with your Overwatch team for all those looking out for it. March 22nd, Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, play versus. And then on that Tuesday, back to the Rocket League squad for some more NECC. That's March 23rd at 5 p.m. Eastern. And as you know, the matches, you stick to our Twitter, you stick to our socials, and you'll see that the matches sometimes do change. And you'll be the first ones to hear on those social media sides. Is there anything else from you, Zeddy?
And I just love casting Overwatch. I don't know what to say. I like these games. It's so fun, and even when you get 0-3'd, it's rough to see your teams, struggle against other teams. But like I always say, it's a learning opportunity. You come out of this, you saw what a team that executed better did to you. You try to apply some of those things to your own game, and you move forward. I guess that's the coach in me. I don't really know what else to say about it, but I just love watching these sports, and casting these games and having the opportunity to do that for St. Clair is always a pleasure. And I hope everyone in chat agrees as well. Getting the opportunity to watch your friends, your family perform in these games, it's such an incredible opportunity that we have. And I hope that our teams can recognize that moving forward. It's a loss, but it's a game played, and you'll have plenty more to come, as we just saw in that schedule. So many more games coming up for St. Clair.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for the Overwatch stream. Once again, I'd like to thank our sponsors, St. Clair College Alumni Association, PC Outlet, Zekelman School of Business, and St. Clair College itself, Tim Hortons, as well as the St. Clair SRC. This has been myself, Seymour, and Zeddy on the mic, with Danners in the production on the backline, making everything look as pretty as ever. I hope you all have a great night. Until next time, for the St. Clair Saints.